All right, Jude, are you there? Hello, Jude.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, boss, you hear me?
You can continue with your explanation. I mean,
Okay. So, what was I saying the other? Okay, records per time. Okay, time. So, um, the condition after selecting the entire location table, we will then place a condition to select, a single town. So we say where town name is Harare, for example. Then when we say Harare, before we run the command or before we run the query, well, there's this tab um on top of the query runner. We can change um the limit function to never or don't limit. I came across that, I don't know if we are used to it, so we can change it. When we change it to never or don't limit, when we run the command, it will give us the exact number of records. Instead of, we can use the counts, but I found that way much you know easier way, or another method, so to say, so we can erase the no limit, don't limit, or we can put don't limit or never, and it's going to give us the exact record. So the same thing we can do for other terms like Lusaka and Co. So it should give us the exact. So because if we say, if we put a limit, like 1,000 limits, it's going to give us, it might not give us the entire records. So if we just put it without no limit or whatever, I think we should be able to get the records.
okay. But one thing I want you to understand is we don't have the total town name here. If you look at the dot, 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 the triple dot they listed on the placed under the list of town name and the town record is a sign that there are still more records underneath. So you might not be able to just go ahead and just select what they have here alone. But yeah, I feel your point. Fair on me, let's go.
Okay, so I just wanted to like what you said about we counting, removing the don't limits, or removing the limits and putting it as don't limits for each town. So I feel it might not be very effective because if there are like 100 towns, so that means we're going to be doing that 100 times
Mm,
to count each record in each town.
okay.
Like I don't know if you get. So that's why I feel like maybe the count approach might be better. Then if you also do that, we're not going to get our results in a table like this because the end game or the end product or the end result is to get each town and the number of records in each town in a table.
Mm, mm,
So if we do that, we might not get our results in a table like this.
mm,
So I think we'll just count the number of times each um like number of times that each town appear in that record. So I'm
mhm,
going to do a count of
mhm.
the town. I'm still going to group town name and still group by the town name. Or can I even do a count of the location ID? Since I mean the number of times a like the location ID is still going to give the number of times like the record of a water source in a location or in a town. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, okay. Well,
So I'll
well,
just
I get your point. I feel you actually, but the location ID part is the one I'm trying to process because I think the location ID is for each is a unique ID. Sorry, 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Yeah. Okay, so but for me, for my own thoughts, I think the best approach that I still feel that will work best is for us to use
is the
the counts.
sorry to cut you. Sorry.
Okay.
The location ID you said like is unique for each yes, is unique, but it's still going to be grouping by the town name.
Okay, so you are
Like
saying
if
that
you have location 1, 2, 3 and
oh,
they are
okay, I
still
feel you,
under
I feel
rural.
you, I feel you. So instead of counting by town name, we can also use the location ID to count
And
and then grouping by the town
group
name,
by
right?
the town name. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense also. That makes sense. I mean, so it's still almost the same thing. That's lovely. Yeah, yeah. So I just feel that I hope that will give us what we are looking for when we start doing it. So now they say now count the records per province. They want us to now count the record per province. We've already counted by what's it called, the town name. So they want us to do the count again by province. So I will assume that we'll go by the same style of how, that's my own assumption, how we probably did this one. And instead of using grouping by town name this time, we'll probably now group by province name. I don't know. If anybody has a better what's it called, you are welcome to share. Anybody? Olaminike, you're welcome. Can you hear me? All right, so please, if anybody wants to share about this province before we move on, you can do that now. Okay, I assume that we are cool. So let's move on. So it says from this table, it's pretty clear that most of the water source in the survey are situated in the small rural community scattered across Majin-Dogo. If we count the records for each province, most of them have a similar number of sources. So every province is well represented in the survey. So can you find a way to do the following? Create a result set showing province name, town name, an aggregated count of records for each town. Consider naming this records per town. Ensure your data is grouped by both province name and town name. So I think this is a clearer fact that we are actually in line from what we've been saying from the top. So now they want us to now create a table that will include province name, town name, and then we'll create an aggregate using that as our count. Then we should call it our what's it called, records per town. Then we should ensure that we are grouping by both province name and then town name. I don't know if anybody would like to simplify this better, or if it is very clear the way it is being stated. So I think they have a picture of what they want us to do here. So we have the province name, we have the town. So which means along the line, we might still have repetition of town name if they are in different province. I'm assuming. Anybody? Temitope, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
How are you doing now?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm good, very good, thank you. So anybody, you want to share or you want to probably expatiate on what they ask us to do? Probably want to put more light to it. Or should we just move on? Is it very clear to us all? I mean, is the question direct? Is it self-explanatory? Guys, I need your feedback. Oh. Can we move on? Or would someone like to help us? Jude, what's up?
Allow me to help us.
You said what?
Which module is it?
Yeah, this is integrated project for the second week, for this week. So we are already looking at the questions that we are asked. Then we can use that to come and answer the question tomorrow and then going forward. Boluwatife, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was saying Olaminike is on the call and she can actually help out.
Exactly. Oh. Auntie Nike. data analyst. We don't dey chop money. Come and help us. Olaminike, you are muted, but I can't hear you. Hello, can you hear me? Can we hear me?
Yes, of course we can. I guess she's still preparing. I don't know.
Okay. All right. If nobody would like to put more light to this, maybe we can as well move on. Okay. So yeah, says this result shows us that our field surveyor did an excellent job of documenting the status of the country's water crisis. Every province and town has many documented sources. This makes me confident that the data we have is reliable enough to base our decisions on. This is an insight we can use to communicate data integrity. So let's make a note of that. Finally, look at the number of records for each location type. Look at the number of records for each location type. So they want us to probably also create another count, I believe, for each location type. So I don't know. I think maybe we have just two kind of location type from what they are showing here. They probably want us to create that again. Or can anybody make any other sense out of this? Oh yeah, Pauline, Temitope, Boluwatife, Ferrum. Let's go now. Do you have any other opinion of this? I'll assume that we are fine, so I'll move on. So we can see that there are more rural resources than urban, but it's really hard to understand those numbers. Percentages are more relatable if we use SQL as a very overpowered calculator. So it's saying select the count of rural divided by the addition of both counts times 100. So we can see that 60% of all water sources in the data set are in rural community. All right. So again, what are some of the insights we gained from the location table? Our entire country was properly canvassed, and our data sets represent the situation on the ground. 60% of our water sources are in rural communities across Majindogo. We need to keep this in mind when we make decisions. Okay, diving into the sources. Okay, water source is a big table with lots of stories to tell. So strap in. Before I go and spoil it all, open up the table, look at the various columns, make some notes on what we can do with them, and go ahead and make some queries and explore the data. Perhaps you see something I don't. The way I look at this table, we have access to different water source types and the number of people using each source. These are the questions that I am curious about. How many people did we survey in total? How many wells, taps, and rivers are there? How many people share particular types of water source on average? How many people are getting water from each type of water source? So I will leave this one to you. Try answering the rest on your own too. Okay. So for the second question, we want to count how many of each of the different water source types there are, and remember to sort them. Okay, so guys, let's look at the questions, and Let's see how best you can solve it. So from question 1 to 4 and the 2 questions in the blue box. Anybody? Oh yeah, now guys, how do we go about the total people that were surveyed? Let's get Ganiat. Yeah, who is willing to help us here? Parami, what's up?
Sorry, I stepped out. I just came back in. I don't know
Okay.
what
We are
did
just
you,
trying to treat
which
the
query,
question.
which question? Question I can see here is the count of how many or which types of water source there are.
The
Is
count
it
of
that?
no. We are at the way I look at this table, these are the blah blah blah. This one. The question 1 to 4.
Okay.
Temitope, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm just coming in from work, so
I
I've
didn't hear
not
that,
been
please.
following. I'm just coming in. I'm just entering the house and work. So I've not been following. So I didn't know if you were there's like a colon ID or something like that.
Okay. No, we are entering a new section of the question. So this is question number 4. So we are trying to look for, we are working with water source table now. And this is a new question actually, saying, so they want us to derive some insights out of the water source table. And one of the insights they want us to get is to know how many people they survey during the survey of the water source. So they want to know the total count of people that they met with, and they want to know how many what's it called, water source are available. That is, how many wells, taps, and river are there. And they want to know how many people shared particular type of water source on average. That is, the total number of people using a particular water source divided by the water source. I don't know. The total number of places where the water source appeared and divided by the total water source or whatsoever. So how many people share particular type of water source on average? So
Select some.
then
Select some.
you're saying,
I'm saying select then some and the column. The column name.
okay, let's even look. What are the columns we have under the water source?
That's all.
From what I have here, we have source ID, we have the type of water source, and we have the number of people served. So that is what I have here under water source.
So you said source ID, right?
Yes, there is source ID, yes.
Okay, so for I think the first one should now be some, select some, then in brackets, source ID.
Okay.
So that will count the all people in to count them by individually by the column ID, by their respective ID.
Okay. But instead of using sum, why not use count? Why did you go for sum?
Count would how do I explain the difference in count and sum?
I'm trying to get your points. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, but don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to make sense out
So
of
the
it.
reason why I chose column ID, but I don't know the so for example now if in a particular column there are there are figures like 2, 4, 6, 8. So sum is going to count it 2 plus 4 plus 6. But for count is count each column individually. So if in the table we have like 5 columns, count is going to bring 5 because it's counting each column individually.
Okay, I feel you. Yeah. Okay. So that way we can sum up the what's it called, Abi? So that is for the first one, Abi?
Yes.
All right, how about the second one?
So how many wells are Palmyra that it should be count 16, then group by water source.
Okay.
So it's going to count. You don't know what is 16, then
But
we all know what is 16.
sorry to cut you, Temitope. I just want to
Run.
I want to remember something that we did in the first project where they said they gave an information that said, but I don't know why they are not highlighting that. They should bring that to our note here. They said water served will be equated to the case of 6 people being served by 1 water source. Thereby, if we get a particular number, it is that 6 multiplied by what's it called, that will give us. So if we have 100 people using if you say this water source is serving 100 people, it means that out of that 100 people, 6 people from the 100 people, 1 source is serving 6 people. So to get the total number of water source or water that particular water source, we might need to do 100 divided by 6. That will give us the available number water source. I don't know if this is just playing out in my head, but I remember there was a kind of information like that in the first project. I don't know if that will now count here. Do you get my point?
First project, we mean the one we did last week.
Yes.
Because I think this one you know what? I've not gone through it, so I'm just
Yeah, this is still the same data set though, and it's still the same database and information. I don't know if they still want us to continue from where we stopped, or they are seeing this one in a new light. It's just an assumption from my hand anyway. But you can proceed with what you were going to say.
so I don't know. Now that you said it, I'm confused further.
I can't hear it
I said I was going to say, since we are counting individually, the question is asking us to how many wells are Is that the question?
Yes, that's the question. Saying
Yeah.
how many wells, how many taps, how many rivers are there?
So we are counting distinct now. We are counting to some distinct. So some
We are counting somewhat.
count. Some I'm trying to figure out. I used to use sum or count. Distinct, so to sum up everything.
And what I'm trying to understand, what do you mean by we should sum up everything?
So it will like bring out this is number for well, this is number for tap, this is number for river.
In that case, wouldn't that be us using group by or something?
Then they will not group by after counting distinct, they will not group by.
Okay, so we have to count each of those where the tap, well, and rivers where they appear. Then we'll now group by. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. All right, let's move on. So number 3. Guys, if you have any contrary opinion to what we are saying, please just feel free to share. Please. Thank you. Let's go on, please. Number 3. How many people share particular types of water source on average? How many people share particular type of water source on average? I feel they want us to introduce that information they give us, because this will not make any sense. If you are saying a particular water source on average. If we are not using that calculation, that will be bringing us back to what is happening in number 2. Eventually, Abi, how many people share particular type of water source on average? What does that mean? So if there is anybody that can interpret that, please, let's go. You said?
I think it's bringing us back to number 2, where we are to now count the average of what we get from number 2.
So we are now doing average of what we got from number 2.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by average this time?
Like summing after. I'm confused, how many
Rejected this. I didn't reject it. Yes. Negotiating bigger.
What is it?
Ogawi, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah, well
You're
done.
saying something.
No, I wasn't talking to you. Sorry about that. I interrupted. It was a mistake.
No, no problem. Cool. So how do we go about this? How many people share particular types of water source on average? Particular type of water source on average. I think we'll come back to that when we start doing the question, but we can proceed. Or if anybody has anything they want to say, please go ahead.
Hello, sorry. I don't know, but that question, that is that number 3 is kind of confusing. How many people share particular types of water sources? They gave us types of water sources as well, river, and then shared source. So I don't know if the shared source is the type type of water source that we know where to get the number of people and then get the average, or particular type of water sources, that is people that are using well, river, and tap, then join this together. I really don't understand that. I don't know if they want us to answer the question from that point or something.
That's what I'm confused about also. That's where I'm not clear. That's where I'm not clear too. So if anybody has any clarity on that, can just share with us, please. Or let's just move on and continue to look at the questions. Anybody?
Sorry, for the
Okay.
number 3, I think we'll find like
Which
the average. I checked and there's an average function. Sorry. Yes,
Okay.
there's an average function. So I guess we'll find the average of type of number of people sharing a water source, and we'll group by the type of water source.
We'll find the average of number of
Yes.
people sharing the water source. Average of the number of people sharing the water source.
Each type of, yes.
Okay. Average of the number of people sharing the water source. So in real sense, on what are you using to count? What is the count in that case that you are using as that we will use to get the average? Average of what?
Yeah, get the average of the number. Say in rural, there is tap 100. Another occurrence rural, there is tap 200. Another occurrence rural, there is tap 300. So we're going to just calculate the average of the 3. That's the 3 values divided by 3. So I
Okay.
guess that's what we're doing.
Okay, I feel your point now. Okay. Makes sense now. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, so let's move on. Number 4, how do we go about how many people are getting water from each type of source? How many people are getting water from each type of source? How do we go about that? I think that's almost similar to what we did in number 1, except that this time we are now doing it based on the source. Anybody? So you already treated the second question in a way around here. So I guess something like this. That's for number 2, actually. So that number 4, for me, I think the best way would be that we are still using the function sum. So we'll probably be summing the number of people using the resources. Then we'll group by the what's it called, the type of water source. I think that will give us the number of people using each water source. If you have anything different, let's hear it. Guys, are we good with that? Okay. Let's move. Still have 3 more questions to go. Says, okay, next up. Which of those sources stands out? It is pretty clear that although there was a drought, water is still abundant in Majundogo. This isn't just an informative result. We will need these numbers to understand how much all of these repairs will cost. If we know how many taps we need to install, and we know how much it will cost to install them, we can calculate how much it will cost to solve the water crisis. So, okay, next up, question 3. What is the average number of people that are served by each water source? Remember to make the number easy. Okay, so I think this is still solving the ones we already talked about. So the average number, okay. These results are telling us that 644 people share the tap in home on average. Does that make sense? So yeah. I think it's coming back to that thing I was saying here. So no, it doesn't, right? Remember I told you a few important things that applies to tap in home and broken tap in home. The surveyor combined the data of many households together and added this as a single tap record. Okay, so but each household actually has its own tap. In addition to this, there is an average of 6 people living in a home. So 6 people actually shared one tap. So they are talking about the case of this broken in home tap and tap in home. So for each of these 2, I think 6 people share. So wherever we have this, we still have to do multiply by 6. So he's saying, so people actually share one tap, not 644. So, voila. Okay, so okay. So this is the number of people, but then okay, so we have to divide the number of people to know how many taps. Okay. So we have to divide the number of people to figure out how many taps to Gongo that was available. So that is what is happening here. All right. So calculating the average number of people.
Sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So I would like to understand something. They said on average, is it that when we get the total, the count, is that the average, or we'll get the average of what we've gotten? I really don't get that part.
Okay, Ferrami was doing justice to that not too long. So when they said on average, there is a function called average actually. And the way these information were gathered, they probably in a particular area, they will count the number of people using tap, summed it up. When they go to another area again, they will count the number of people using tap in that area, summed it up in that scope. So they have for tap in home, there is more than one slot of tap in home. So what they're asking us to do is now do average of tapping home. So to have just one slot of tapping home, we had all the appearance of tapping home, then we'll now divide it by the count of tapping home in that record. So that is the average that we have here. Do you get that?
All right, yeah, that works. That works. Makes
Okay.
sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So where did we start? So calculating the average number of people served by single instance of each water source type helps us to understand the typical capacity or load on a single water source. This can help us decide which sources should be repaired on or upgraded. Based on the average impact of each upgrade, for example, well don't seems to be a problem as fewer people are sharing them. On the other hand, 2,000 shared a single public tap on average. So we saw some of the queue times last time, and now we can see why. So looking at these results, we probably should focus on improving shared taps first. So now let's calculate the total number of people served by each type of water source in total to make, so I think this is the last one, to make it easier to interpret. Order them so the most people served by a source is at the top. So this is the last one, that's the last question, the number 4 question from here. So, and so and they said we should sort it so that we have it in a